Let's move into our first main stage plenary and kick things off with a special business briefing about COVID recovery and vaccine distribution, led by Bourla, CEO of Pfizer.
Secretary General Guterres, members of the UN Global Compact, distinguished guests, thank you for the opportunity to address this purpose-driven and influential group of leaders. It is a great honor and pleasure to speak with you about Pfizer's work and commitment to sustainable innovation that benefits everyone. Let me start by acknowledging that it's been a trying year for many. More than 4.3 million people have lost their lives because of the ongoing pandemic, and countless more have lost their livelihoods. No economy has been spared, and while we are slowly seeing some economies build back, others may take years or even decades to recover. And the corresponding rise in poverty and chronic hunger and decline in literacy and gender parity, among other development indicators, have been extremely troubling. As a global community, we have a long road ahead. What brings me hope is that we have demonstrated over the past 18 months that by working together across the public and private sectors, we have come further than we could have done alone. And while we have much further to go, we can get this faster together. In March of 2020, as COVID-19 swept across the world, I challenged everyone at Pfizer to make the impossible possible, to develop a vaccine more quickly than anyone ever had before. Ideally within 6 months, and certainly before the end of the year. The CEO of our collaboration partner, BioNTech, Ugur Sahin, did the same with his team. By laying out a bold plan, leveraging breakthrough technology platforms, and tapping into the expertise of scientists, regulators, governments, and partners, we were able to develop bring to market a COVID-19 vaccine in roughly 8 months, far faster than the 8 years it often takes to bring a new vaccine to market. But the journey didn't end there. Developing a vaccine is one thing. Getting it to everyone who wants and needs it is another. From day one, we have remained committed to the fair and equitable distribution of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine by enabling access to people regardless of where they live or their economic status. This commitment led us to offer our vaccine through tiered pricing based on a country's ability to pay. For wealthier nations, that's about the cost of a takeaway meal for each dose. For middle-income countries, it's roughly half that price. And for low-income countries, we are offering those at a non-for-profit price. As long as the pandemic persists, we will continue to price in a way that helps governments ensure there is little to no out-of-pocket costs for their populations. Equally important is the ability to reliably manufacture enough vaccine doses for all those who choose to get vaccinated. This is no small feat, but thanks to the ingenuity and hard work of Pfizer scientists, engineers, and skilled workers, as well as a multi-billion-dollar investment, we expect to manufacture 3 billion doses of the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine by the end of 2021 and 4 billion doses in 2022, subject to continuous process improvements, expansion at current facilities, and adding new suppliers and contract manufacturers. We will continue to make investments and process improvements in an effort to build even more capacity. To date, Pfizer and BioNTech have shipped more than 1.5 billion doses to 130 countries or territories around the world. To expand our reach and accelerate efforts to fight this disease in all corners of the globe, we have pledged to provide 2 billion doses of our vaccine to low and middle income countries in 21 and 22. 1 billion each year, which means 1 billion this year in 2021. We are pursuing multiple pathways to reach this goal, including direct supply agreements with country governments, partnering with COVAX to deliver doses of our COVID-19 vaccine to nearly 50 middle and low-income countries so far, and partnering with governments and other international organizations who share our mission of equitable access through the donation of doses to countries in need. Most notably, we are working with the US government to supply 500 million doses at a non-for-profit price that the government will in turn donate free of charge to member states of the African Union and low and lower middle income countries across the globe through COVAX. To date, this program has already delivered millions of doses to 18 of the poorest countries. Some have raised concerns that the potential approval of boosters will divert doses dedicated to the low and middle income countries and redirect them to the high income ones. This simply isn't true. The introduction of booster doses, if approved, will not impact our ability to meet our existing global supply commitments or our 2 billion dose pledge to low and middle income countries. We will honor each and every commitment. The past 18 months have shone a spotlight on the need to act quickly, nimbly, and completely differently to meet society's needs during crisis. In short, it wasn't business as usual. In March of 2020, we issued a 5-point plan calling for unprecedented industry collaboration to help battle the pandemic. Just 4 days later, we announced our intent to collaborate with BioNTech to co-develop and distribute an mRNA-based coronavirus vaccine. We moved so quickly that many of the specifics of our agreement weren't finalized until after we started working on the vaccine. But that didn't matter because we needed to get scientists into the lab as quickly as possible. We recognized that we would need to develop innovative solutions to get the vaccine, which would require ultra-cold shipping and storage, as close as possible to the last mile. So we invented specially designed temperature control and GPS-enabled shipping containers, as well as brand new equipment to manufacture at scale a vaccine using a technology that had never before been used in an approved product. And with no clear sense of the extent to which the pandemic would grow and how long it would endure, or whether it would dissipate before any vaccine was ever developed, we committed at risk to marshal our resources to achieve a breakthrough. This includes the resources we continue to deploy in our efforts to potentially bring the vaccine to additional populations, including pregnant women and children under the age of 12 years old. Just this morning, Pfizer and BioNTech announced that our COVID-19 vaccine demonstrated a favorable safety profile and robust neutralizing antibody responses in a phase 2/3 trial of children 5 to 11 years of age. These are the first results from a pivotal trial of a COVID-19 vaccine in this age group. We are eager to extend the protection afforded by the vaccine to this younger population, subject to regulatory approval, of course, especially as we track the spread of the Delta variant and the substantial threat it poses to children. As such, we plan to submit this data to the FDA, EMA, and other regulatory agencies around the world as soon as possible. The speed at which decisions were made, given all these uncertainties, was unprecedented in Pfizer's history, and it is illustrative of Pfizer's commitment to embedding environmental, social, and governance principles into our corporate strategy to deliver on our company's purpose, which is breakthroughs that change patients' lives. I want to stress that this goes beyond our COVID-19 vaccine work. Across the board, we are applying an ESG lens to our decision-making, including how we care for our human capital, invest our financial capital at risk, expand access to our vaccines and medicines, or scale up our physical capital to meet the ongoing demands of people around the world. Let me highlight a few efforts. In terms of equitable access to our breakthroughs, last year, our products reached more than 420 million patients around the world through our traditional commercial channels and some access programs. However, some patients are unable to access traditional healthcare systems, which is why we continue to pursue a variety of complementary access and affordability programs to address the gaps. Another priority is addressing the causes and impacts of climate change. From the unprecedented floods in Northern Europe to the increased tornado activity in the Northeast United States, to the devastating fires in my home country of Greece, there is growing consensus that immediate action must be taken to protect our planet and its people. As the Secretary General observed in issuing the latest report by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, there is no time for delay and no room for excuses. At Pfizer, we have exceeded our third-generation greenhouse gas goal by reducing direct greenhouse gas emissions by 33% by the end of 2020 compared to our 2012 baseline. We are now advancing our science-based target initiative, approved greenhouse gas reduction goals aligned with a 1.5 degrees Celsius pathway. For example, we aim to be carbon neutral across our internal operations in the world by 2030. Lastly, we are working to finance a sustainable path to achieving our long-term growth and the UN SDGs in a way that is consistent with the guidance provided by the UN Global Compact and its CFO task force for the SDGs and sustainable finance. In fact, we issued the biopharma industry's first sustainability bond addressing capital investments in both environmental and social initiatives and aligned with the relevant UN SDGs 3 and 13. The last 18 months have demonstrated not only the benefits of collective action and collaboration, but also the risks of not doing so. This unprecedented collaboration, along with new ways of working, allowed us to move at the speed of science to help address the most devastating global health crisis in more than a century. Society urgently needed a breakthrough, and our industry has delivered. And now we need to take the lessons learned from COVID-19 and apply them to other areas, such as antimicrobial resistance and future pandemics or cancer. We must also apply the same collaborative spirit to other issues, such as climate change and racial and gender inequity. Business has a role in helping to address these issues. We don't pretend to have all the answers, but we commit to advancing innovative solutions, working together to overcome seemingly impossible challenges and partnering to achieve equitable impact and bring positive change. Thank you for the opportunity to share our insights and explain the role we are playing to help address the current crisis and to prepare for those that are sure to come. Stay well.
Thank you, Albert, for providing us with your perspective on the vaccine and the fight against COVID. If you are just joining us, welcome to Uniting Business Live and the UN Private Sector Forum. I'm Tolu Olubumi, your host and guide. You can follow all of the chat right here on the platform as well as on social media. Please use the hashtag Uniting Business when you post on social media.